Oh, welcome. How are you? All right, please.
On 5th April 1955, a man was born in the central region of Malawi. He was born in a small village called Malembo in the area of traditional authority Kongoni in Lilongwe district. The man grew up in a household that was just like any other household in Malawi. He grew up in a family setup that had a very well set and very strict syllabus that carried social shaping subjects such as hard work, perseverance, honesty, love of people, honesty, love for people, and above all, love of God. As he grew up, the man underwent almost all stages of social and academic construction that assisted him to hold and deliver in different positions of leadership that offered him the experience of life to serve others. In my 30 years as a broadcaster, I have not had an opportunity, a chance of speaking to any person contesting for high position of president of a nation few days before polling. This is my first time. Ladies and gentlemen, join me, Gospel Kazako, in consuming the honor, privilege, and opportunity of chatting with Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, who, if voted for on Tuesday, the 23rd June 2020, will be the President of the Republic of Malawi. Thank you very much for allowing us to come into your home. It must be a very busy home now.
You are welcome. Yes, it is, but
yeah.
everything is just normal for us.
And then unfortunately I'll not be able to literally shake your hands.
We could do that. That's a new normal now.
Yeah, that's a new normal now. And I've seen that you are really doing whatever you can to make sure you're also creating awareness on the COVID-19.
Right.
Because I think this is a danger to
yes, it is. And we shouldn't treat it lightly.
Thank you so much once again for allowing us to come to your home and then talk to you. We really appreciate. There are just a few things that we want to have a chat about with you. It has been a very serious campaign, and well, we've seen you all over. You've been in Chitipa, you've been in Karonga, you've been in all over. You've been in Lilongwe, you've been everywhere. I think they have seen your face, they've seen your image. Tell me, how would you describe the campaign, your campaign?
I would say that we have run an unprecedented campaign in terms of the messaging, where we've gone, and in terms of the teams that have gone out because of our Tonsi Alliance and others that have endorsed us. And so I believe that this campaign has crystallized the needs that Malawians face, and everywhere we've gone, there's been lots of excitement, enthusiasm, because Malawians feel that through the court action, we've been given a lifeline to really implement change that will be good for the whole nation and for various groups of people within that nation, but see it as truly positive and a potential that can happen, because we have emphasized the fact that as one nation, we need to move in one direction. Yeah.
Most of the Malawians that you're talking about they live in rural areas. They live in villages.
Right.
A very, very high percentage of our people is in the village. What would you say is the benefit of the villager, the rural person out there, looking at all this that you're talking about?
You see, our campaign has been very, very practical in the sense of those issues that we articulate emanating from the plight of the villager you talk about. Because the majority of Malawians, still over 8%, live in the rural areas. And the majority are farmers, subsistence farmers mostly. And these are the people that are in abject poverty. That's one thing that really upsets me, knowing that they can be much better off than they are presently. And so our promise, for example, to the farmers, that we would make fertilizer affordable, accessible, and to everyone at 4,495 kwacha per 20 kilogram, per 50, not 20, sorry, per 50 kilogram bag. That excites everyone that these things are possible. So food security issues, fact that people can eat 3 times a day, the fact that people can not just feed themselves, but through that promise, cultivate other crops for sale. That really is a prospect that people get excited by.
We have heard a lot from your campaign. So many promises that you have made to the people of this country, both urban and rural.
Right.
What would you say are your priorities? I would want to know 5 priorities. If you are elected president of the Republic of Malawi, you go in State House, or probably your first day in Capitol Hill. What would you briefly look at as your first 5 things that you'd want done?
Yeah. Of course, my premise would be when I am, not if I am. And I would immediately make sure that the promises we make are actualized through a budget that prioritizes such promises so that we make it possible, beginning this season, for farmers to access fertilizers and other farm inputs. And so a budget would be there, and I would make sure that we also prioritize the appointment of a cabinet that demonstrates the unity that Malawians desire for. And we would then look at how do we restructure the civil service, for example, so that we maximize the best that this service can offer and not politicize it, because service delivery is crucial, you know, in terms of what Malawians' needs are. And so civil service that does not serve politicians but serves the Malawian people, we would want to do that. And we would also want to make sure that we have proper mechanisms to stop the bleeding through corruption and theft that this nation suffers from. And, you know, it's almost like we can't even move forward because there's a culture that abuses the resources and people's taxes. We want to put a stop to that. So deal decisively, like I have many times said, with corruption and theft of public funds. And then I would also want to add this important aspect. I believe this nation needs healing. This nation needs reconciliation. I want to face tough issues that people have evaded so that together we can have a corporate vision, but also understand that we have corporate values that unite us. And then with shared vision, we can move in a direction that ensures that these things are doable and possible and implementable.
You're saying that there are certain things that have been evaded. Just tell me two.
Well, for example, politicians have thrived on division. The old adage, divide and rule. I want to be different because I'm offering services. I'm offering a different type of leadership that unites and does not thrive on dividing people. But you see, this country also has a history that many people want to use for continued division and continued hatred. And they sow that seed continuously so that even youngsters who were not even there when we fought for independence are taught how to grow up with a prejudiced mind. And this has to be addressed. Issues of national reconciliation have to be looked at with seriousness because that will define what Malawi becomes, and we are intending to build a new Malawi in which everyone can sense that this is home for me.
Mm-hmm. You are the torchbearer for the Tonse Alliance, and there are about 9 parties in the Tonse Alliance. Right. Certainly these parties are coming to this alliance with totally different ideologies, and you are going into an election as an alliance. How do you intend to galvanize, or rather to unify, to bring all these ideologies into one that would drive the agenda, your agenda, the alliance's agenda, fully knowing that they are different backgrounds, probably they also believe, differently, and so on and so forth. Now there will be one leader, one president. Right. How do you intend to bring all this together so that it makes sense?
Well, first of all, Gospel, look at the miracle, even right now, of the Tonse Alliance. 9 different parties, and of course you have such organizations as Citizens for Transformation that Ntambo leads, and all of these campaigning for one and the same thing. And what is that? It is, change that represents the aspirations of Malawians, the expectations of Malawians, not the expectations of politicians. And so, how do we do this? Let the Malawian be first. And those of us who are offering leadership, let it be a leadership of service to the Malawians. Let me state this. I have looked at the manifestos. I've looked at not just the UTM manifesto. I've looked at what the others talk about. I've looked at what we talk about. In gospel, there's more that really unites us than divides us. And so we will start from those places where we converge and build from there, and then see how, wherever there are differences, how do we handle this and how do we handle that. But there is already plenty that unites us in all of this, and it is because each one is attempting to address the plight of Malawians out there. And so I can say without any hesitation that there is plenty that unites us, and I believe that building on that, we can then say, how do we tackle the other areas in which there might be differences? But our approach really has been similar in the sense that every one of the parties has been attempting to respond to the plight of Malawians out there. And so how do we provide the kind of leadership that really serves the communities we seek to represent?
The campaign has been very tough one, I must say. Tough schedule-wise, tough terrain-wise, but I would also want to believe that has been tough psychologically. There have been lots of mudslinging, things said against you, literally. I really don't know how you are managing to stay sane and sober and focus on the objective. How are you managing to do this?
Well, you're right. This campaign has been intense. When you just look at my running mate and myself, holding sometimes 40 meetings in 1 week. That's no small feat. However, I can say it's been well worth it. We have had different teams going out, different parts of the country, and everyone doing what they need to do in order for Malawians to really see that we are offering the best alternative. As for me personally, I wanted the Malawians' plight to be what I focus on. And what is it that we can do to respond to that so that we are able to truly have a transformation that this nation has waited for. And so I have told myself that I should not lose focus, never focus on things that people say about me, whether they castigate me or call me all manner of names, or even create stories that are bent on tarnishing who I am. I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know what I believe, and I know what I stand for. That alone has helped me so that I don't get distracted. And so I don't respond to any of that. That is the reason everywhere I've gone, there's never been any issues to do with violence. There's never been any issues to do with acrimony. I have maintained a message that I believe represents what Malawians need, and I believe that we can do that. Now, it's tough physically, it's tough emotionally, it's tough spiritually, and so your mind does get affected. But I have a faith which has become a bedrock of who I am and what I do, and that is what sustains me. And I'm so thankful for many that wish me well and pray for me and say, how do you cope? How do you, what is the secret?
How do you manage?
Exactly, how do you manage that? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I surprise myself. I says, I couldn't have managed this, but like I say, I have a foundation upon which I stand. And the belief that I'm here offering my services to the people is a belief that sustains me.
Dr. Chakwera, should you be elected as President of the Republic of Malawi, you will certainly have the Vice President. And in this case, Dr. Saul Chilima will be your Vice President. In many, many occasions, you have been preaching the gospel of wanting to change how presidents do interact or work with their vice presidents. We have a history in this country that is not good enough. I think all is there to be seen.
Yeah.
How do you intend to do this?
Well, when we win and I am president, and obviously Dr. Saul Chilima is vice president, My take in all of this, I think he's also been on record to have seen how a waste it is in terms of resources for an office to be basically non-functional. The last 2 years can demonstrate that. You want to make, shall I even use the word, the best use of the talent that is there, of the unique potential that is there. And so in a vice president, you would need at least two things, in my view. Some may be legislative, so that you do have actual tabulation of what a vice president should be doing, rather than saying, oh, this is a delegated office, and therefore, you know, he is just waiting out there to see what would you delegate to him at what time. So that would be one aspect. The second aspect is one to do with relationship, trust. You cannot have people that are leading the nation and showing the nation what leadership is all about, and they are the ones who don't even trust each other. Because what happens at the top gets replicated down to everyone. And so you do want to show the kind of spirit that says we are out here to serve Malawians. And so let us show an example of what service looks like. But I would really want, and this is something I have said over and over again, that let there be an intentionality in how you work. And servant leadership is a good platform to start from, so that what has happened in the last 25 or so years is changed. And people begin to realize that you can have teams that serve and they work together based on trust and based on what the rules of the engagement say. Everyone then performs to their maximum best. And I can say, and everybody I think is a witness to the fact that Dr. Chilima has been underutilized.
Well, our listeners and our viewers, this is Zodiac Broadcasting Station, and we are chatting with